Today was not the best day in the market. I am down negative $14,000 today, not the best day, and this is only in one account. I actually have another account that holds pretty much my worst performer of the day, which was Tesla. So unfortunately here, Tesla got hit pretty hard, down 8%, which is a lot for the day. So 5,000 from there. And it's worse if you look at my other accounts, like my Robinhood account. So maybe overall negative 20,000 for the day. Not very good, right? So let's talk about emotion because it's really important. So this doesn't bother me at all, okay? This negative 14,000. I don't have any fear. I don't have any feeling of I lost, I'm panicking. And I think it's because I have understood the cycle of market emotions. And it's really important you understand these. So I am still long in the positions. One day of price changes does not affect me. I am young, which is also an important thing, right? So if any of you guys are watching that are trying to retire, then the hold and stay long is maybe not the best thing for you, right? Because if you are willing to take the volatility, then hopefully you are younger, and so over time the volatility is not going to matter. So most of you guys watching are around 25 to 35 or around 25 to 45, around that age. So if that's the case, then you need to be in control of your emotions, not get overwhelmed by the volatility. The volatility is absolutely crazy today, and of today in general. You'll see easily the Dow going up and down 500, 1,000 points. It's absolutely craziness. Let's talk about emotion. This is the cycle of market emojis. All right, so what happens is usually when someone just gets started is they are optimistic. Maybe you're like this. Maybe you were excited, say 6 months ago if you just got started. Maybe you had the thrill, everything's going up. Oh my God, everything's great, euphoria. And then you're like, this is just how it's going to be. And then it starts going down. Maybe you get anxious. Now we are in a weird position here because we got to skip a lot of anxiety, denial, and fear, and we went straight to panic with, if you could see how sharp of a decline we've had. And what happens at the bottom? People are panicking, they're upset, maybe there's some social unrest, which we may see soon, hopefully not, some depression, right? That's why it's called a Great Depression that we had in the 30s. And then slowly as things come back, maybe we have some hope, maybe some relief, some optimism, and then guess where we get back to over here. And it's a cycle that continues throughout time. If you notice and look at the data, it'll make you feel much, much safer and much more in control of your emotions. And before I get into some data and some graphs, guys, thanks so much for subscribing. It's really cool seeing 100 subscribers our first week here. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. I want to give a $100 check or Venmo or some private form of money payment to one of you guys as a subscriber. So I'm going to choose someone next week. Just make sure you're subscribed to my channel and you like this video, and I will make sure to pick one of you. It helps to get a bird's eye view on everything, a 10,000 foot view to really see what happens over time. So the green are positive bull runs, the red down here are bear runs. You can see that the reds are much smaller in length and duration than the bull runs over time. So that is something that has helped me keep things in mind. Also, you can look at other past recessions, and dot-com recession was a big one. The S&P 500 tumbled by 44% over 2.1 years. All right, and you can look at other recessions as well, the 1960s, the 70s, 1.6 years, 1.8 years. The nastiest bear market so far is probably the stock market crash of 1929, right? And the recessions that were after that, the Great Depression. Well, that bear market lasted 2.8 years and sliced off 83%, which is huge. But the crazy thing to me is 2.8 years is not that long for the greatest crash of all time, right? Think about all of the crazy things that were happening during this time, and 2.8 years. If you're young, that's not a long time horizon to recover, right? So a bear market, by the way, is when the market drops by 20% or more from the high. So that's what a bear market is meaning here, but it helps to read about past bear markets. The Great Recession, our last one was 1.3 years, right? We went down by 50%. And you can read about these to get a better understanding of what happens over and over again, time after time. We see recessions, we see drops. This was the last one right here. And then we see some massive growth. Here was the dot-com bubble, and then we can see some growth, right? So if you are young, you should not be really worried about the emotional aspects of the market. Try not to get into this panic and this kind of, you can see over and over again, so many people create a different kind of emoji type graphs here of how people feel right before things start crashing down. And it also shows that, when people are euphoric, they're extremely happy. That's when there's the most risk, right? And when people are completely depressed, that's when there's the most financial opportunity. So there's actually minimum financial risk when everything looks like it's the worst it can ever be, right? When things look like they're so bad that you can't even think about getting worse, that's probably the point where things can start moving up. And if you look at past depressions, actually, and recessions, the bottoms of the market have often been when the government stepped in fully and been like, this is what we're going to do. Here's a stimulus package. Here it's been passed. And you can look at past recessions and depressions to see that and kind of gauge maybe where a bottom is. No one can tell the bottom, but I am actually happy when the market goes down. Why am I happy? I don't like losing money. No, that's not why I'm happy. So seeing this does not make me happy, okay? This amount, it's pretty crazy, right? In one single day. But I am a young investor. I am a long and hold type person here. So I am excited to see prices get cheaper and cheaper, right? So that is my perspective on it. So when things fall, I'm actually happy about that right now. And if you're a young investor, you should be too, even if you have money in the market, because there is an incredible benefit to getting in at cheaper and cheaper prices. And if the markets fall, you should just be thinking about these assets going on sale. I want to do a little bit of math here because not a lot of people realize this. Let's say you have a share that is $100, okay? The price of, let's say, Apple when it was back at $100, okay? Let's say you have a share of Apple at $100. Now that share, let's say, drops to $80. So now you have 80 out of 100. What is that? Well, you went from 1 to 0.8, and that's a loss of 20%, right? Makes sense. 100 minus 20 is 80, right? 20% loss. But let's say you buy in at the price of 80, right? Say you have some cash or you're just kind of putting money in, your dollar cost averaging. So when you put money in at $80 per share, and it goes to 100, right, divided by 80, guess what we're going to see? We're not going to see a 20% bump. In fact, we see a 25% bump, okay? That is how it works because you are getting in at a cheaper price, and that same increase in nominal numbers, I guess that's the same word, nominal or number there, but that leads to a different percentage. So the further down something goes, so let's say it went from 70, went to 70, right? So you think, okay, 100 to 70 is a loss of 0.3 or 30%. Guess what? When you go from 70 back to 100, you're up 42.85%, okay? So that is the benefit of being able to buy at cheaper and cheaper prices. The lower it goes down, the higher the percent you're going to be able to get when it goes back up in comparison to the amount it went down. So that is actually how the math works out. And so I am very excited when things are going down. Now, I don't want massive panic in the streets, but I am happy. I would like, hopefully, I'm actually betting on it going down, right? Otherwise, I would kind of put all of my money in at one shot. I'm minimizing my risk. We had a great comment on my last video. I'm minimizing the risk by putting it in at regular intervals, but I'm also trying not to time the market and be like, hey, I'm going to put this over 10 years, but I'm trying to put it in the market, but I'm doing it in intervals. That way I do not get stuck with too much volatility and I can kind of average out a good spot. So don't get emotional with the market. It always helps to read about past recessions so you can get an idea of what it's like, right? And when you're in these little red parts, it seems like the end of the world, but over and over again throughout time, there's these market cycles, and it's normal. So if you think of it as a normal cycle and you don't think of it as you lost money, because guess what? You did not lose any money. As long as you don't panic and sell, you didn't lose any money, right? So understand the markets as a whole. Try to minimize your risk by buying into the market. As you saw my purchase of $25,000 yesterday. I bought VOO. I just got into the market, the S&P 500. And make sure that you don't think of this as a roller coaster of these emojis, all right? So you are not someone that will sell when everything is at the bottom and everyone's depressed and it looks like terrible, terrible things have all happened, right? You will not buy when things get incredibly euphoric. And if you can fight those emotions, because these are the natural emotions, you're going to be able to have a much better shot at winning this game. Now, I don't believe in playing the game of buying and selling and trying to guess and time these graphs. If you watch anything on investors and analysts, you'll know that they're wrong at half of the time, right? If you watch Mad Money with Jim Cramer, you're going to see that he's wrong like half of the time. Some of my best purchases have been when he says the exact opposite. So you need to make sure that you understand the fundamentals and you don't get emotional during this time. I want to leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you very soon. Leave me a comment. I'm answering all of them. See you later.